Hello, so today I thought we'd make one of these. It's a little matchbook style holder for a little mini book. This is a little mini book inside. It's just made out of various scraps of paper and card, and I'll decorate that later. It's got, let's see, how many pages have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pages. So 10 pages altogether, so that's 5 pages at each side. And it just slips into the little match book holder like that. I did initially get the idea from Nazi at Amity Bloom. She's seems a really nice girl, and she's very creative, and she does a lot of sort of vintage, retro, florally projects. The first things I saw of hers were some Bohemian journals, which were absolutely gorgeous, and I subscribed to her YouTube channel. But I started off with her idea, but then decided to change it quite considerably, so that this little book is loose. She has hers tied in at the top with ribbon. I actually liked it to be loose so I could take it out and work on it. So it's basically her idea, but adapted to my style and what I wanted to do. She actually sells a template as well for making these, where the bottom bit is actually attached. It isn't an additional piece like mine. So it varies a little bit from hers as well in that respect. I've made mine vintagey. This is a little bit of scrap paper from a music book, a vintage stamp, and this underneath here that you can just about see is some old negatives from, well, I used to have photography as a hobby, and so I've got a lot of negatives of photographs that I've actually had them printed, I've still got them, and there's a lot of duplicates because the exposure was maybe slightly different on some of them, so the ones I won't want to get reprinted. So I've just stuck that underneath the stamp and on top of this paper. I just use the extra strong PVA for that so that it all stuck in place, but I just think it adds a little bit of something. So we'll start and we'll go ahead and make the little book, and then we'll make this. So the little book started out as these, just strips of card and paper. Some are double-sided, some are just turmeric stained and tea stained, and some are just white on the back, which I'll just add a bit of distress ink to. I think I said this had 5 pages, 3 for 5, yeah, and I think I've got 5 here. 1, 2, 3. I've only got 4 here, but that doesn't matter. So the pages need to be £7 wide, because your little book, when it goes into the matchbook, will go this way around. 7 centimetres wide and 15 centimetres top to bottom. There, that way. Once you've cut them all, you then individually fold them in half and crease them. Once you've got them all done, put them back together, line up all the edges and the ends, and then we're going to take a stapler and just staple once on the crease. I've got gold staples in here, but you can use whatever colour you've got. It does take a little bit of trial and error, to get it in the right place. I think I had about 3 goes with that first little book before I got it bang on the crease. So that's on the crease, so that makes our little book to go inside. And I can decorate that, I can use it for journaling, whatever. So that's our little book. So we'll set that aside with our measurements. Bit of my stapler. So we'll make our matchbook holder for our little book now. So the other measurements you will need are for the cover. So you need a piece of paper, or I use double-sided scrapbook paper. It's quite a reasonable weight so that it's quite sturdy, but it needs to be a weight that you can crease and fold without it cracking. So just try a little bit from the edge to see if it creases without cracking, and then cut a panel which is 17.5 that way and 7.5 that way. So my initial piece started out like this, a long strip. I'll then cut it to the right length, and then you need to score at 8 centimetres. So from this end I must have done it. Yeah, 8 centimetres in, you score. And then fold. So you can see where we're going with our matchbook. This will be the cover, that will be the back. You then get your little book, which you've created, and put it into the crease there, and close your matchbook up. I'll just move the measurements. There we are. So your book's inside. You then lift this flap up, and keeping both those edges straight, so that's straight with that edge, that's straight with that edge, just crease it along. Take your little book out and then crease it again. So you've got a nice strong crease there. You then need a strip 1.5 centimetres wide, the width, and 22.5 centimetres long. There. And this is going to go, doesn't really matter if you do it on top or behind, onto this here. I'm going to, I think, put it on the top, but you need to make sure that it's well and truly glued, because this is going to be the strong bit. So we're going to put glue all the way on this little flap here. I'm going to do is I'm just going to smudge it to the edges, so I make sure that I have got glue absolutely everywhere on that flap, that there aren't any missing bits. Right. I'm just going to eyeball this, but then I'm going to glue that onto there. What you need to do is make sure that this bottom edge, this, is straight. Now on this one, I did actually glue the strip underneath, but it doesn't really matter. You can do it on top or underneath. With this one, I've gone on the top because this strip isn't quite as wide as that, but I've made sure it's well and truly stuck. So you can see where we're going with this. You then need to put your little book back in. I tend to put the fold at the top, but you could put it that way around, whichever way you want, doesn't make much difference. Close your book up with your inside cover inside, then hanging onto it for grim death, turn it over. With your little book still inside, you're going to flip these two strips round and crease, because these are going to give strength at the back. So that's just a bit too long, so I'm just going to snip it off a little bit. Yeah. So with your book again still in place, we're going to put glue on the back cover all the way along. I'm going to go over. You're going to have, it's very difficult to see with my fingers in the way, but you're going to have that edge straight. I'll just turn it round so I can concentrate a bit more. I've got in that edge just lined up. Quite lined up at the moment because I was looking at it the wrong way. So if you have it holding facing you, you can see if that edge is straight. Right. We're then going to leave a gap because you don't want to glue that little bit to the edge of your book. So you're going to start about where it goes onto the back. Put glue on the other flap. And then do the same with that one again. You're going to fold it onto the back and line it up with the bottom edge, but it's going to glue down. Just got a bit of glue in the way there. So that strengthens the back and makes sure that the band, which is round the front, isn't going to come adrift. So you can see where we're going with this. That's our matchbook. Now, if you want, and I think it's preferable, I rounded the corners of here, just because it makes it easier to get it in and out of your little slot. Because if you take your book in and out quite a bit, these corners are going to get scuffed and tatty and curl up, and then they won't fit in properly. Now, I have a corner punch which rounds corners. Not everybody does. So if you haven't got one, what you can do is, on your top flap, put it on your desk, get something round. I just used a pen lid, and put it so that it matches up with both sides of the cover, and then draw around it. So I'll get something bigger so that you can see what I've done basically. Imagine this is the pen lid. I put that edge there, so my pen lid had the edge there and the edge there, and then I just drew around it. You can go bigger if you want. You could do the corners as rounded as that if you wanted to. I might actually see if I've got something in between and do. I'll try it with this. So I put my, this is a Pritt stick lid, so I'm going to put it so that the side of my lid matches the side there, and then just round it. Do the same again. Try not to get my head in the way. And just round it. Because I couldn't see, I don't think that one's quite right. I'll just do it again. That's it. And then just a little pair of scissors. These are our embroidery scissors. And just cut where you've marked. And that's it, you've got rounded corners. So that's an easy way if you haven't got a corner punch to round the corners. I would then either rub out the pencil marks with a rubber or just go around the edges and darken the edges. This is Vintage Photo all the way round. On the inside as well, so it matches up. And this is the benefit of having a double-sided paper scrapbook page. It's usually thicker if it's double-sided, and you get the pretty pattern on the inside. So that is our little matchbook, and you can just pop your little book in. Why won't that go in? That's it. And there we are. And then you would just decorate the front. I've got little scraps of this which matches the inside, so I might cut a flower out or something like that, or put a Vintage Photo on. Maybe not one of these with a boy, but something with one of the ladies, and mount that on. That would look quite nice. There's all sorts you can do to decorate them up, or even just a little bit of stamping. So, and just decorate your little book. You can also get this in. You could put a closure on the front. You could also put washi tape round here, which would look quite nice and decorative. You can pop little bits and pieces in, little tags or whatever, just that's a tuck spot as well as your closure. And as I say, if you wanted, you could put a closure on there and put string all the way around. Or just tie it with some ribbon. World's your oyster, really. Just go for it. If you wanted to do your book so that it would be that way, just make it not quite as long a strip. So your 15cm strip, I would maybe do it 13cm. And then your little book will fit in that way and open that way. But I quite like it to be this way up, because it keeps your book closed and it's all neat and tidy. So I hope you like that. I hope you can understand the instructions, and I will put that there. So hopefully you can see the measurements and write them down. One thing I did forget to say is make sure that whatever you decorate your front cover with is very flexible, because you're going to have to open and shut it quite a few times. If you have anything too solid, it will make your front cover crease. So that's just a piece of cardboard, scrapbook paper with a stamp, a postage stamp stuck on it, and then I've stuck it to the front. I've done a little bit of stamping as well on the front and back just to give it a bit more interest. But don't put anything too solid on, unless you won't be able, your front cover won't be flexible enough to tuck in.